for years, I was a singular meditator. I sat in my designated spot of meditation, and I would work with my own thoughts. Just no place to share them, no place to absolutely get some other input. Wasn't listening to Dharma talks at all. I was just simply dealing with my own thoughts. And then on an occasion, I would have the opportunity to chat with them about with a nosy teacher who was always asking me, "How is your practice?" So the discovery of Sangha and the ability to share, like we did this morning with our metta practice, was of a very big benefit. We just finished our meditation, and I don't know how your meditations always go, but mine sometimes are very peaceful and very relaxed, which is, I think, a goal that we all shoot for. But sometimes my meditations and my thoughts just won't quiet down. And so we sit and we breathe and we do all these types of taught techniques on how to quiet our thoughts. And mine sometimes get to the point of even being a disruption to my meditation. My teacher taught me a phrase to use occasionally, along with focusing on breath, which is dropping off body and dropping off mind. And sometimes it's very helpful, but sometimes even that won't quiet the thoughts down. And so my question or my thoughts this morning are about, what are thoughts? Where do they come from? Is there a little thought machine out here somewhere that just keeps pumping them out into the atmosphere and we keep breathing them in? Well, of course not. That's not where they come from. Neuroscientists will tell us that it's the firing of our neurons in our brains. I don't think they have totally understood how this all comes to be, but they say that our thoughts come from two different stimulus, if you will. One they call proximal, and the other they call distal. Proximal is our experiences, what happens to us, what we remember, all of those types of things, our teachings, what we've learned, what we've experienced. And the distal ones, which are even more interesting to me, are the ones that come to us through what neuroscientists will say is ancestral. That something that just comes along with our DNA and our cosmic connection. As the Buddha teaches that, and many of the great teachers teach, that everything is connected. And these distal thoughts have an opportunity to become aware in our own minds. Thich Nhat Hanh teaches a nice model, which he talks about a garden. And he says that we all have the same basic soil of a garden. And in that garden, there are just many, many different seeds, all seeds of emotions and reactions and everything. And we've all got them. And it's the ones that we take care of, the ones that we water, the ones that we practice working on are the ones that benefit us the most. But we all have anger. We all have these emotions. We all have lust and greed and everything else, but it's what we practice bringing forth is what benefits us the most. I give lectures or Dharma talks to a number of different places, and in the prison I used to work with the men there to tell them that, our thoughts turn into our words, and our words turn into our actions, and our actions turn into our habits, and our habits turn into the patterns of our life. And so from our thoughts, all of this arises. It's interesting to me to read about what the neuroscientists say about our thoughts, and then to recognize that almost 2,700 years ago, the Buddha already figured this out. He figured this out in his enlightenment and awakening without the benefits of all this science. He did it through the processes of mindfulness and meditation. And that's where he sends all of us also. When our mind becomes awakened, even in small, small ways, our happiness is elevated and our suffering is reduced. And that, I think, is the goal of all sentient beings. We'd like to be happier, and we'd like to be a little less sad. And so the Buddha left us the Four Noble Truths and the Noble Eightfold Path. And speaking of words and thoughts, when I was looking this stuff all up, I heard Alan Watts talk about the Noble Eightfold Path, and he said the word right is not an actual good translation. Samyak, Sam, in the Pali, is translated as right. And I thought, isn't that interesting? And then I read in the Recovery Dharma book, they use the word wise. And that resonated so much to me. So that wise view, wise intention, right and wrong seem to have a very, very cold cut to it. It's either right or it's wrong. But wise, that makes so much more sense in my thoughts. And so though my thoughts I might think are wise, I can always show additional wisdom. And so in this formula that our Buddha traditional teacher taught us, we have this ability to take this Noble Eightfold Path and have all this wisdom develop from that, and not to be disrupted by our thoughts. Part of that Noble Eightfold Path is our meditation practice, the opportunity to find quiet, the opportunity to just settle into it, even when our thoughts and our minds are going crazy. And so from one crazy mind to yours, I wish you all great metta in this coming week that's coming up. I hope that you'll all get an opportunity to join us in our meditational retreat, this Zoom retreat that we're venturing out on, something new for all of us. And it'll give us all the opportunity to work on our thoughts. We'll be able to look at the seeds in our garden and say, which ones do I want to blossom? And which ones are the weeds that I just simply want to pluck and discard? Thank you. Let's finish up with our chant of compassion. Chant of compassion. We surround all forms of life with infinite love and compassion. Especially do we send out compassionate thoughts to those in suffering and sorrow, to those in doubt and ignorance, to all who are striving to attain truth, and to those whose feet stand close to the great change called death. We send forth all wisdom, mercy, and love. And may the infinite light of wisdom and compassion so shine within us that the errors and vanities of self may be dispelled. So shall we understand the changing nature of existence and awaken into spiritual peace.